which is, you talk about that two-way street between in friendships, in even with pets, and I'm sure that is really challenging to capture from a immersive experience perspective, from a technological implementation perspective. So um, how are you going about solving those design, immersive experience, and technology challenges with this startup?
I mean, part of it, I think, is friction is a feature, not a bug. And when you call the pet over and she looks at you and she doesn't respond right away, I'm fine with that, right? Like, might call my dog and she'll, most of the time she'll come, but if she's busy doing something, she's heard me, right? She knows what I want. She's not doing it. And that's okay. Like, then I've got to be patient, or I've got to reframe it, or I've got to give her a treat or do something, right? Like, there are, friction is a feature, not a bug. And I think that's, when you build friction and you build randomness and sort of variability, people read into it what they want, right? If I call the creature and the pet and she doesn't come over, I don't really know why. Like, maybe a bunch of priorities are stepping on each other, and we've got to resolve this priority queue inside its AI model. And I'm like, okay, I'll do this thing. But while it's stepping on each other, I don't know like what the AI is doing, but I tell a story. Like, it has other things it wants to do. It is interested in something else, and that's okay. Like, it's not deterministic. It doesn't have to behave the same way each time, right? In fact, that non-determinism is good. So we embrace that, and I think that's very powerful for us. The challenge is to tune it so that it's non-deterministic in a range. Like, if it starts straying out of that range, then your believability decreases. So how do we manage that? And it's a constant, push-pull, whack-a-mole thing of tuning an emergent system. Like, emergent behavior is by definition like unpredictable. So how do we constrain it so it is predictable in a range that we care about? And I think that's the moat we have. Like, I think we're built a system that Meta or Google or Apple would be hard pressed to build internally, because the structures don't allow that. And we built it for a budget of like what it would cost Meta to have 6.5 E5s or E6s on payroll for a year, right? Like, if you took 6.5, 5 engineers and a PM and a designer, 7 people for a year, they couldn't build what we have. There's zero chance they would build what we have. Zero chance, right? In a year. So we're able to build that in a way that I think aligns to our organizational, structure and freedom and agility. And we're taking big risks. We're taking like big shots, right? That are that's what a startup is taking big shots. I don't think you can take big shots inside a company that, especially is laying off the bottom 5% of the company, or, and then I'm not calling out Meta alone, like Google and Apple potential layoffs, right? Like, are you going to take a big shot at this company? Like, and that could be maybe a half, you don't get a good review. No. Right? Let Bernie's company take the big shot. Maybe we can buy them or copy them or whatever it is, but let them take a big shot and we can learn from it, right?
Yeah.
And that's the startup.
Yeah. Wow. So big companies are technically making people more risk averse.
I think so.
And for a startup, being comfortable with risk taking is really important, because like, if you don't go for the moonshots, you just stay on Earth.
Yeah. Who's going to write you a check? No one's going to write you a venture funding check if you're not going to promise 100x return. You want a shot at that, right? So that's really important. I do have a hard stop at 1. Is there a last question you want to ask?
I will. Just stick up. So how do you see the company evolving from here on?
Oh, I'd like to be on multiple platforms. I don't think of ourselves as a VR company. I think of ourselves as a virtual pet company, and I want us to be on every possible platform, mobile, console, everywhere that you ever feel lonely and you want like your pet to check in on your pet and play with it. Like, I want you to be able to do that. So I think the next step is to move to that. But that's a tomorrow problem. Like immediately we need to ship our games, we need to fix our bugs, we need to get stable enough, we need to build a community around it. So um, you know, you have to think about the future and the present at the same time. And certainly that's my job as a CEO. I'm probably the main person who thinks about both those things. But my team is mostly focused on shipping the game, because you don't know your possibility space until you ship. When you ship and the world sees it, your possibility space like comes into focus, right? So until then, I'm kind of like, well, we'll see. Like I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
It's not controllable until I know what the game looks like in shipping it. So that's the thing I
Yeah.
want to control now.
Wonderful.